When we go back to our classical examples of the Wizard of Oz and Star Wars, for Star Wars, what this represents is Luke flying into the Death Star. You know, he's there with the whole battalion, and he has that moment of truth where Obi-Wan Kenobi, in his mind, says, "Let go, Luke. Use the Force." And he does. He trusts that, and he saves the day. In The Wizard of Oz, the big anticipatory moment is when Dorothy and her companions come back with that broom and are ready to collect that brain, that courage, that heart, and ready to go home when they find out the truth about the wizard. So there is a moment of truth right there. So not only do you have this heightened feeling, you also get a big glimpse of the truth. So that is kind of like the nature of this climactic moment. Now, what is that for you? In the story of the Destiny 5 experience, I'm going to say we do have a climactic chapter, and I can tell you it's kind of miraculous. In those closing moments coming up to the end of the quest, when we were writing this chapter, all 5 of us started to cross the finish line in our own respective quests. So I'm not going to give away too much because I still want you to read that book, not just listen to the audio program. But there were a lot of heightened emotions and heightened expressions as we all started crossing that finish line. And that's how I know that I can tell you that you will too cross that finish line after taking on this entire quest with us. So I want you to think about what that climactic moment was. I think in my life, I had this moment where I was 12 years old and I got my black belt in the martial arts. And it took me 2 years, which is not a long time, but for a 12-year-old boy, it's an eternity. And I trained for it, and I was emotionally preparing for it. And it was a moment that defined my life, and I was dreading it, but looking forward to it. And it was a whole day's worth of events. I had to fight 10 people in a day, not at the same time, but one at a time. I had to break boards. I had to do all kinds of routines. I had to prove that I could defend myself. All of this came to a head in this one hot day in July when I was 12 years old. So I would say for me personally, my symbol would be the black belt. Okay, so now we have 8 symbols, 8 phases, and we're going to go on to the 9th and final phase. 9th and final phase, this is also Act 3, Scene 3, is something I call destiny. This is where you kind of take stock of where you are now after completing the quest. This is where you get what you wanted, but you also get a lot more than you bargained for. I often use the quote, "Creation is destruction, and destruction is creation." Who you were no longer exists in the form that it did before. Who you are now exists, and it's time to create something new. So in the story of The Wizard of Oz, this is where Dorothy returns to Kansas, and she realizes now that after taking this journey, all of that is now within her, that there's no place like home, that anytime she seeks adventure, she can always think back and reflect on this experience in Oz and know that she had experienced every single kind of emotion on that journey. And my assumption is that because it was such a strong quest, it was such a strong, heightened, sensational journey, she can tap into any one of those emotions at will just by thinking about that experience in Oz. Now for Star Wars, the heroes are rewarded. They're given a medal for their efforts. And Luke is now going to redefine himself as a Jedi Knight. He is no longer the farm boy. He's not even so much the pilot, but he is redefining himself as that Jedi Knight and the master of the forcical arts, if you will. Or if that's a word. I don't know if Lucas has a patent on that word, the forcical arts. But this is often represented by some sort of graduation, commencement ceremony. You have come to the end and the beginning. But in reality, when you take this quest consciously, you come to the center. I want you to picture being in the center of a whirlwind, of a circle. When you get to this 9th spot, or the destiny spot, you are watching all of the emotions going around you. And you can call upon any one of them at will. That's what this quest offers. What this quest offers is that as you go forward in life, You can tap into any one of these 9 phases, these 9 archetypes at will when you need them. If you're ever finding yourself in life in a personal desert or a personal dark night or a personal shadow, can you use the skills, can you use the emotional resources that you've learned on this quest to master yourself in any situation? I can tell you that with that emotional mastery comes the ability to make things happen in your life. It might not be exactly the way you anticipated. There are surprises along the way. I don't want to lie to you about that. But you will become more than you ever dreamed you could be. Because this is the conscious choice to become more than you ever dreamed you could be. Are you interested in that? Would you like to come along for a quest? I have one more audition exercise for you, and then I would like to invite you to come along a quest with us. Take a moment. I want you to pause this tape and reflect on all of your notes. Reflect on everything that you had just heard and experienced. And then we're going to go on to the final audition exercise and your initiation into this quest. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And if you don't have the answer to all of them right away, that's fine. You will find the answers once your quest has commenced. Now, when you look at Act 1, Scene 1 in Origins, there are a series of questions I would like you to think about for yourself. The first question is, who are you? Who are you today? And then look at who do you want to be when the quest is over? What's the difference? The next question is, what do you want? What do you want your quest to be about? And why do you want it? And that's very important, finding the why. And we will explore our why a little bit more in the next volume that really addresses the origins phase of this. Now when you go to the shadow, there are a couple things I want you to answer for yourself there. What stands in your way? What is it that you feel is blocking you from getting your 60-day quest? Is it time? Is it money? Is it support? Is it energy? I want you to identify what's known as the critical gap between where you are and where you want to be. What stands in your way? We will explore this shadow in further detail in Volume 3, which addresses just the shadow. So that's Volume 3. In Volume 4, we will discuss the helping hands. And the questions you will answer is, who is supporting me? Where is my support coming from? What can I do to find the support I need? Where can I find the money? Where do I generate the time, the energy? Where can I go to get the resources that I need to complete this quest? In the next volume, we will deal with your personal desert. What happens when you get stuck? I want you to ask yourself that question. What do I do when I get stuck? What do I do when I don't feel like doing this anymore? How do I manage my emotions effectively? These are all questions that will be answered in that next volume that goes with the next Volume 6 will deal with your personal plot twist. What happens when things don't go as planned? What happens when something comes in to rock your world? What will you do when what you think about yourself changes or what you think about the world changes? How do you deal with the unknown? And how will you deal with the unexpected? We will address all of that in Volume 6, Plot Twists. What happens when things get scary? What happens when it looks like or feels like or it sounds like you're not going to make it? Have you confronted your deepest fear? And do you know how to use this power of fear to drive you forward to the end of your quest? That is what we will be specifically addressing in Volume 7, The Dark Night. Now, the next question is something you probably won't know the answer to, which is why you have to take the quest to find the answer. But what is the missing piece of information that will help you complete the quest? What do you not know now that you will know once you take the quest? Have you found your psychological center to push forward to the end? Have you connected with yourself? And do you know all of the power and wisdom that truly lies within you? All of these will come up when we get to Volume 8, The Sacramentor.